I think most rappers start off in either two camps. People who focus in on the words they say, and people who try to make whatever they say sound cool. While the latter camp usually isn't the most lyrically adept, they're good at adjusting themselves to recording verses faster because their natural inclination towards presentation lends itself towards flow and delivery. And though the former camp start off confident in their lyrical prowess, they tend to struggle with flow when they first step up to the mic, often running into the problem of having too many words to fit into a coherent rhyme scheme because of their disregard of presentation. I vividly remember in the early days of my time recording, rapping faster to have a flow that was remotely presentable, and having friends of the lyrical miracle sort that would sometimes ignore it altogether. We would eventually resort to shortening lines and overlapping certain phrases to varying degrees of success. I leaned towards shortening more than overlapping since it seemed to me overlapping almost never worked out the way I wanted. There was always this dissonance that occurred when I overlapped two bars that had different cadences, so I pretty much gave up on it. But what if I didn't have to trade that oomph that those extra words I omitted provided for a smoother, more stable lyrical structure? What if you could overlap your bars on a regular basis and reliably make it sound good? There's obviously many cases of vocalists trailing lines into and out of choruses to smaller degrees, but I'm referring to usage that's extended in the middle of a verse, which is more uncommon. I mean, composers and producers overlap melodies that aren't perfectly in sync with each other all the time, so there must be a way. There is someone whose flow is overlooked as it stands in the shadow of his infamous lyricism and anime references, who specifically comes to mind for me when thinking of this overlap technique, as I've dubbed it. Though it's not something unheard of in music, no one uses it as often and in as many different ways as Robb Banks. He's able to seamlessly transition from one flow into a drastically different one while the previous one is still going. But how does he do that? Let's look at some examples. For reasons I'll make apparent later, I'm going to count the shortest syllable pronounced within the overlapped lines as one beat of the rhythm, which will be denotated by a square. To demonstrate fluctuations in pitch and tone, we'll use blue to represent soft and low, and red to represent aggressive and high. Also, we're only going to be using snippets from The City because that's my favorite project of his, and thus the one I'm most familiar with. Alright, we'll start with something simple from Flex.
Gave her one piece till I hope my soul, then I'm out like Zolo, and I know that it was years ago. Girl, ride on the cocky like I'll leave every nigga with a bottom sick toothless.
Alright, this overlap starts in the middle of rider, and contains two words and two syllables, the ER in rider and the aisle. Let's play it back one more time to get a better sense of the flow.
Ride on the cocky like I'll leave every nigga.
There's only one beat within the overlap, with the in rider and the aisle each being one beat. The tempo on overlap is the same, and tempos before and after the overlap are pretty much the same as well. The tone changes from soft and more relaxed to loud and aggressive, and the pitch from lower to higher. Next we'll look at something from KDia.
Yeah, and all these niggas pussy. I can see that camel toe, and that 4 I pulled this had me fucking you slow. Don't think for 1 second I may love you. Having her twist up your time become equivalent to carving name out.
This overlap contains 5 words and 5 syllables, the you ho and the and then having. Starting with the you and ending after the have in having. Since ho is the shortest pronounced syllable, we'll use that as one beat this time. Let's play it again.
Don't think for 1 second I may love you. Having her twist up your.
There's 3 beats total within the overlap. The you is held for 2 beats with the then landing on the second beat of it. Everything else besides the you is only 1 beat. The tempo on overlap is pretty much the same save for 1 beat of difference. And the tone changes from aggressive to relaxed, and the pitch from higher to lower. This time we'll look at a snippet from All the Way Live.
But I ain't used to claim Basquiat ain't no slang. Babe, my balls ain't come with no name. Won't take it there, I ain't slap boxing no gent.
This overlap contains 5 words and 6 syllables. The your name and the you don't really. Let's play it back again.
Babe, my balls ain't come with no name. Won't take it there.
There's 4 beats total. Your and name are both 2 beats. You and don't, both 1 beat. And really is 2 beats, with each respective syllable being 1 beat. The tempo varies and the tone changes from energetic to more relaxed, and pitch from higher to lower. Alright, one last example. This time we're gonna do another one from All the Way Live.
All the times you was egging me, could've been time that you spent with. Tap my name on that chastity belt.
This one overlaps 4 words and 4 syllables, the with me and the tat my. Since the me is the shortest pronounced syllable within the overlap, that will be our beat measurement this time. Now let's hear it again.
Time that you spent with. Tap my name on.
There's 4 beats total. With is 3 beats. Me is 1 beat. Tat and my are both 2 beats. The tempo on the overlap is definitely different. The overlap tat begins on the 2nd beat of with, and there's a 1 beat pause between with and me, with the my starting on said pause. The tone changes from relaxed and soft to lively and loud, and the pitch from lower to higher. That was a lot of bullshit I just broke down for seemingly no reason. But don't worry, in a little bit it'll become abundantly clear exactly how Femto does what he does. We'll start off with the differences in each of these examples. There isn't any discernible relationship between the number of words and syllables used, nor does it seem to matter if the specific tempo of the flows that overlap are the same. As for the commonalities, there's always a shift in pitch and or tone of voice. Even if it's slight,
RSVPs from the deep who I picture VSOP.
It's there. There's also a trend in the number of beats in each syllable within the overlap. The reason I counted the syllable pronounced for the shortest length of time as 1 beat wasn't just so analyzing the rhythm wouldn't get too complex to follow and that I needed some form of measurement to parse it all, but because as I was listening through each of these examples tens of times, I noticed a pattern. The biggest syllable in the overlap is evenly divisible by the shortest one. We're dealing with a bunch of halves and doubles, and thus the individual elements of the overlap are extremely proportional. And I think that translates sonically into something interesting rather than something ear-wrenchingly off-putting. Though I've only presented 4 examples here, I've listened to a handful of other instances of this overlap flow and observed the same trend. And I'm willing to bet that if I looked hard enough, I'd find times where he went as far as to have a word with 4 beats within the overlap. That's right, this kind of rhyme scheme can get even more complex. I'm not saying this as a set-in-stone rule for doing the overlap technique. There may be instances in other artists' use of it, or maybe even in Robb Banks' music that I'm simply not aware of that defy this. But I think it's a decent template for understanding how words fit together in songs in cases where they're said at the same time, and is consistent in the cases I have heard. If you think all I did was prove that he can rap on beat, or try to turn art into math, then you're severely missing the point. The creativity on display here is insane. By changing his tone and pitch from one line to the next, he gives each part of the overlap a distinctive presence within the song without it sounding like a cluttered mess. He's able to make 2 lines with varying cadences mesh instead of clash by holding certain words for a specific length and timing them in just such a way that the sounds within the overlap are structurally similar. There are so many different combinations and variations and ways to execute this technique. I'm honestly surprised I don't see it more. We're not just talking about a style that keeps your flow fresh, but opens the door for more to be said in less time, and near limitless potential for structural cohesion in your lyrics, as just about any 2 flows can be mended together. It's a style that adds an entire layer of lyrical depth to his songs, causing their replayability to shoot through the roof. Or should I say, rooftops? Rooftops? It really goes to show that the subtlest tweaks here and there can make the biggest difference in the overall quality of a track. Speaking of which, special shout out to whoever the fuck mixes this nigga's shit. The mere thought of balancing Robb's ever-changing delivery, not just with each other, but on top of each other, makes my fucking head hurt. Kudos. Whether he developed this style subconsciously through years of experience, or strategically plots out every rhyme scheme with this in mind, it's no wonder he turned down XXL Freshman list twice. He's clearly no fucking rookie. His frequent use of and success with the overlap technique showcases an intimate understanding of the correlation of delivery and flow, the inventiveness to create new solutions to old problems, an unwillingness to sacrifice lyrics for flow, or vice versa. This uncompromising nature permeates his entire career, throwing blatant shade on his exes in his songs, not being afraid to get into a beef with Xavier Wolf by rapping on a beat he told him not to, possibly for that exact reason.
As long as we're talking about beefs, you put out Xavier Wolf this song the other day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, actually, that's not this song.
Okay.
It was not this. They made it seem like it was this, but it really wasn't.
But on the Thunderman remix, that seemed like more of like an actual diss track than the Crunch Time one. It seemed like you were trying to pick the fight a little bit on that one. Okay.
The whole reason I haven't put that shit out is because he had texted me on some shit, like, on some shit. He had texted me on some shit where like he was making it seem like, oh, like, yeah, nigga, like, don't rap on my beats. So, and I was like, who is this? I didn't know who it was. And he said, the Thunderman. So I just blocked his number. I ain't write back. And I put the song out.
So you put out that track basically because you felt kind of disrespected by him texting you and being like, don't rap over my beats. You just wanted to kind of push the issue?
Yeah, and the reason I put it out is because you can't tell me what to do. Nobody will tell me what to do. I will rap on God's beat.
Right.
I will rap on anyone's beat if I feel like I want to rap on it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No one's going to stop me from doing that.
And facing the controversy of his dad being Shaggy head on, by not only addressing it in song, but going so far as to make a song called It Wasn't Me, sampling the song of the same name by his father to show that he truly doesn't give a single fuck. Funny how he compares himself to Michael Jackson, but the pettiness of his antics bears resemblance to his contemporary, Prince. Anywho, I hope I helped to shed some light on this type of lyrical style and how Sir Griffith's flow is underappreciated. Support the man, he makes good shit. Plus, he's getting an anime made for his Death of My Teenage album, so he's basically my fucking hero. Peace.
But it wasn't me, 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 it wasn't me. Get 35, off for the P. It wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me, no, it wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. I can get 35 for the P, little bitch.